All right.
What is good at wait, what? Oh,
Go ahead.
okay. What is good, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. As you know, we are the Waterboys, and this will be podcast number 2. If you haven't, check out our first podcast. The link will be down below. It's basically a recap of all of our fantasy picks today. It's cut day, unfortunately. It's kind of bittersweet. It lets us get closer to the NFL season, but it also ends a lot of people's dreams. Tim, jump into further more about what we're going to get into.
Word, we got some roster cuts that are potentially going to make some noise out here in these first couple of weeks for you. We also got some updates as far as some additions as far as waivers are concerned, and any updates right before that week one matchup that you might have. Some roster positions that you might want to change, and a couple little extra tidbits.
And diving right into that, we're going to go with the newsbreaker of the day. Of course, everyone saw it right when they woke up. That was Cam Newton was cut. And honestly, to me, it was a big shock. Like I would I would have said he lost the job. Like didn't think he was going to get cut, but there was also reports coming out too, which makes a lot of sense too, and a lot of coaches are looking at it as well as this COVID thing. And apparently he doesn't have his vaccinations. And if you're going to put your team in jeopardy like that, a lot of coaches won't have you on the team. And that's even to a standard of Cam. Now with Mac Jones, he did play really good in the preseason, but to start him right away, we'll see how that pans out. We know everyone's comparing him to Tom. We'll see how that looks. Tim, what's your takes on those?
As far as Cam is concerned, I've always looked at him and seen like he looks like a player that just never entirely healed properly. It seems either that or they just rushed him out because they had all the hype of the fresh new guy, and Mac Jones out there, and they were just a little too antsy as far as pushing Cam out to the side because there are some things that Mac Jones can learn from Cam. He is still an MVP, former MVP, and he did make it all the way to the top of the mountain, even though didn't quite finish it out. But there are still a lot of things that he could have learned from him. But I feel like this is one of those things that were a tad bit rushed. You got some hype. You want to just throw the new guy into the fire and see how it works. More hype than maybe anything. Now, what I would really want to get down is like, where's a good landing spot for Cam to where he could actually get some shine and get an opportunity, a legit opportunity to be able to show a case what he can do.
So I've heard of two things, and it just depends. I like Houston a lot, and we'll jump more into the Deshaun Watson thing later on, actually here shortly. But Texans don't plan on playing him at all, so Cam could be an instant starter there. But there's also rumors too that once Dallas heard the news, they would love Cam as a backup. Now, with Cam, is he gonna be like Carmelo? He's got to take a realization like, hey, I'm gonna be the sixth man coming off the bench, and that might be a hurt to his ego, and he might not want that role. I don't know if he would take that. I think he still views himself as a starter though.
He definitely has the talent and skill set to still be a starter, but sometimes that doesn't always line up. Now, out of all of those, that would be interesting because there are some Deshaun Watson talks with Miami's owner wanting to acquire, which leads us right into our one of our next bit of news that was actually quite interesting is the fact that the Miami Dolphins owner has came out and said that he is very much so interested in Watson's services. So, would it be a good move, Chris? Do you think that would be something that they should do? If not,
I mean, if you gotta you got to look at everything that's in front of you. You can't just project in the future. We don't know what's going to happen with Deshaun. So right now he's got 22 cases on him. Is he worth that touch right now? I don't think he is. Like until all that's cleared away. And I know Houston, I know it's hilarious, Tim, but like I didn't make those numbers up. That's the real thing. That's the 22. Um,
22 cases.
but like really, like if you I don't know. I would think you would not be a very wise organization to right now with everything that's going on with Deshaun the trade for him. And I know Houston right now said we'll protect the picks, which for the viewers that means if they trade for Deshaun and let's say something does happen, like he gets suspended indefinitely, he goes to jail, whatever, like they'll get those picks back. But now if he ends up playing this year and he's not suspended, Houston keeps those picks. To me, I mean, that kind of sweetens the deal, but Houston's still asking for like 3 ones and what, two twos and all that. That's a lot for any player. And when you already got a first round pick in Tua, I think the thing that's mostly gonna hurt, because I was thinking, is it gonna fracture the locker room? I don't know if it could. I mean, it's between the owner and the head coach. So I don't know if that dips into the locker room or not. I know it dips into the front office, but I don't know if it dips into the locker room.
Mm. It definitely can be something that can be a distraction. We've seen how the whole Packers and Rodgers debacle went, and this could be similar kind to it, but even though it's coming from even higher up, and the owner wants to make a move, but I have to agree in the fact that I don't think it would be a good move. I think Tua is your guy. You got to give him his full 2 years in a system and be able to sling that thing out and really show what he can do. You guys only opened up 60% of the playbook up to him, so you pretty much had him on training wheels out there, and it's time to take those training wheels off and let him ride like a big boy.
And I
No
and I
intended.
know that basically everything they did this offseason was for Tua. So it's just like, now don't get me wrong, like they drafted Jalen Waddle because they could have had, could they? I don't remember the order. Didn't wasn't Devontae Smith still on the board?
Yes.
Yeah, so which was the number one receiver, but they drafted Waddle because he was college roommates actually with him back in the day, which back in the day is 2 years ago, but we're gonna go back in the day. And you did everything for him, added more pieces, make sure he can succeed, and just to basically say, oh, he's the issue, let's get him out, but you didn't see how he performed. I don't know.
No, they gotta let that marinate. You see it in the they're underestimating how important Jalen Waddle is. To be honest
Yeah.
with you, I really do think that was a very nice pickup for them. I think he's a very complimentary piece for what they're trying to do out there in Miami. But you can never understate, the relationship between the pass tosser and a pass catcher. Let's be real, quarterback and receiver duo. There's it's those things. It's what made the Manning to Harrison combination so deadly, and the Rob to Brady combination just. I mean, there's some other names on there. Felipe and Antonio Gates. Let me just throw that in there just cause. But yeah, you can't understate that because that's gonna instantly translate because he kind of already know how he breaks off his routes, how he likes the ball. He knows how he just got that timing down right. So uh, it would be a smart bet for Miami to hold on to what they have.
No, it most definitely would. And I'll wrap that up. We're gonna dive into the next team who, I mean, every team was active today,
Yes.
but as for Chicago, like they were very active with releasing bigger name players. The big thing that happened with them today is one of their 1-2 punch, and Tariq Cohen was put on the PUP list. He's out for 6 weeks. Now, for fantasy owners, if you have David Montgomery, that's solid. He's going to be your workhorse. He's not. He was drafted early on draft, so you're not going to get him as a free agent. We all know that. Um, but keep your eyes out, I would say, in the future as well, because after that 6 weeks, if you have Tariq Cohen as a player to add, you might want to add him a week or two before because he's going to be a hot commodity when he comes back into the game. And as well, they released Desmond Trufant. He's a veteran cornerback. I don't know if he still has juice in the tank. I know the age is catching up with them. And I just wanted to mention it just because I thought it would be fun. Riley Ridley, younger brother, Calvin Ridley.
Mhm.
I would say someone should take a chance on him because we see what Calvin does, and that usually you riding on your brother's tail will always get you into another team.
Sure.
What are you thinking on those cuts, or even
Uh,
PUP move?
the Riley brothers, if I had to speak on it, they both can stick and move. They kind of that's how they do that little style that they have as far as route running is concerned. A bunch of other top pass catchers have that too. Um, man, like where do you even begin to start with half of the potential moves that you have out here, and then the other ones that you don't? Now, if you do have Montgomery, I like the RPO option with Justin Fields on the Bears. I think that is a nice, good pairing because let's be real, they're gonna throw him into the fire. Like, like I don't even know why they're even trying to pretend like they're not gonna put Fields out in the field in the first
And
week.
I'm gonna cut you off because that's just the crazy part too. Like, I just don't get it. Like, I would have Fields my week one starter. If Belichick, a Hall of Fame coach, can roll with a rookie and just like, hey, screw it, let's see what he got. Matt Nagy fighting for his job. You might as well see what the rookie got.
Make or break season, man. Make or break. Definitely make or break.
As for next up, this is news, but it's also it was kind of little dwindled down news. But what is he now? Like a 10-year vet in Everson Griffin. He was released by the Vikings today. We all know he's a sack specialist, but there's rumors that they just did it to restructure the contract and get him back with the team. But he's a vet, so the difference this year with this is the new players, the rookies that are coming off that get cut on this, they'll go through the waiver wire process. Now, the ones that, the veterans that's been there for, I want to say it was like 4 years total. I could be wrong on that, but if you are a vet, you get to choose where you want to go. You can have free agent meetings and things like that. Of course, COVID plays a role in that as well. So he can change his mind if he doesn't want to play in Minnesota, but that could be a huge loss. What's your take on that?
Uh, that could definitely be a potential loss, especially if you own or are looking to acquire, or according to these numbers, there's been a little spike in people adding and drafting, picking up the Vikings defense, and if they've let go their go-to pass rusher they had for all these years, that can definitely affect their numbers going into fantasy, especially on the sack end. So losing a weapon on the front seven, probably not the greatest thing. Let's see what comes from it. Maybe they have some other guns, young guns in the tank on there, you know,
Well,
showing off their depth.
and they do, but it's like I love I always say his name wrong because it sounds like a girl, but like Danielle Hunter, like I think that's how you say it. My if you're watching this, Danielle, my apologies. Um, but like I think Everson Griffin helped him out on the other side a lot, and I think if he takes most of the brunt, the double teams, things like that, that can like hurt his production. And like I said, he's rumored to sign back, but you never know. Super Bowl contending team, like let's be real, Minnesota right now is not that, and he's older in his career. If a team that has a chance to go to Super Bowl calls, he might be interested.
Definitely. So if we're gonna go ahead and we can segue into these surprising takes or surprising pickups as far as waivers are concerned. If you are in the position to, make those little slight little cheeks and chinks to your roster, let's go ahead and start with Chris. Do you have any kind of sleeper picks?
Ooh, so I don't know if this affects you or not, and you're gonna be mad at me because I already did it. So keep your eyes out on Michael Pittman
I
Jr.
knew. Okay.
There it
I
is.
knew I was
So
tripping. I tried to add him, but I
so
was already missed.
so by that reaction, if you guys do know, Ty is going to be out for the first month, and they don't really got no one to throw the rock to. Now, Indy might establish a run game. We also don't know how healthy Carson is coming back, but Michael Pittman looks like he'll be sliding into that number one role. It's a safe bet. I did it. Put him on your bench. See what he does for the first few weeks, and if you don't like it, throw him back in the player pool.
Very true. Very true. I'm not gonna lie. That was a nice little pickup just to see how that works out, especially with Ty going down. I actually do have him on my team, but now I'm gonna have to make some adjustments here, and I'm instantly match you back on there. And let me make sure I get this name right. It is Amon Ra St. Thomas out there in Detroit. He is a
Brown.
slot receiver stud. He is definitely going to
Yeah.
be one of those, hook and out, specialists. When in doubt, throw him to him. I think Jared Goff is going to love having something like that to at his disposal to be able to, dink and dunk his way, get those short yardage and, gains. Definitely, if you're looking to pick up some sleepers, those two guys definitely would be a nice good pickup. I'm mad that I didn't get Pittman.
No, and like you said, that's very solid. I did have him in my top 10 rookie wide receivers. Now, what I love about that too, and if you really look at that Lions roster, they
hmm
don't have Kenny Galladay. He's with the Giants. Marvin Jones is with the Jaguars. He
hmm
can easily step up and be that number one guy. And I'm actually going to throw one name at you guys else today because I did mention in the past, I want to say it was actually in the fantasy video about Irv Smith Jr. with the Vikings, but then he got hurt and they made a move today. They went and got Chris Herndon from the Jets. Now he is a young, athletic tight end that just didn't fit with the Jets at all, and I love the pairing and the fit with the Vikings. You already got your two studs on the outside with Thielen and Jefferson. If he could somehow get production, I would say slide him on your bench as well too. Like I said, it's the same thing with Pittman. Just have him chill there and see what he does. And if you don't like it doesn't cost you anything.
No, those that's a very good observation there. I was looks like we've both been kind of digging and researching into the same areas. I'd have to literally co-sign with all of that, especially out there in Detroit. That is definitely a very sneaky pick if you've been paying attention to the movers and the shakers. And let's be real, Jared Goff and Cooper Cup. You saw how that went. This dude Amon-Ra St. Thomas, they're very, very, very similar. So if you're looking to pick up some wide receivers, those two guys right there, Michael Pittman and Amon-Ra St. Thomas.
Now, I'm actually going to throw, because he did get cut today. Me and Tim talked about it as well. But this can also be an interesting receiver too, as well, which is John Brown. He requested his release from the Raiders today, and they granted it. Um, if he becomes if he comes onto a team that has playoff potential or with a good quarterback, we've seen what he's done in the past. He was really good with Josh Allen in Buffalo. He was good with Arizona too. He is a production receiver. He catches a lot. He has speed. I would say watch out where he goes, because if he becomes a number two, he'll be sneaky. He'll be sneaky for the team he comes on with, and then for your fantasy lineup as well.
Very, very true. Let's be real. I do not want to see him in the colors that you have on right now because let's be real, you guys don't need any more speed. If you guys are gonna grab John Brown, he'd be able to, pluck the low hanging fruit and still be able to eat more than you might think. So
And
definitely look out for John Brown.
I'd love to see it, but also too, let's be real with you, and I'm actually gonna slide right into that as well. He can go to you guys too, because you guys just released what, Tyron Johnson, that's his name,
Uh-huh.
which I thought was a solid number three, maybe number two for you guys if Mike Williams learned how to stay healthy. He had solid production, so it kind of surprised me that you guys cut him.
Yeah, that definitely could be a landing spot, but unfortunately, you know how the Chargers go. We are very. I don't want
You
to
got a
speak
new coach though.
on it. Some of the times, I just don't want to speak on it. Like you can get really excited and then you can get really disappointed really fast. It's just all bad.
I know you ain't used to free agent pickups like that, but yeah, it might
Right.
be turning a new leaf. They might say, "Oh, we got the next Mahomes. Herbert's going to compete with him for 10 years. We need to get him weapons. We can't do the same thing we did with Breeze and Rivers."
True. True.
You never know. What I am stop fighting the gnats in your room.
It's like all
What
bad.
I am impressed though with the Chargers, and I will give it this, and you might be as well. And maybe I'm not jinxing anything, so hopefully you don't get angry at me if something happens. But this is like the first year you guys have stayed healthy in the offseason.
Here we go. Now watch how this happens. Watch watch how this happens.
Yo, the Colts have had your guys' luck, if anything, with
Pretty
Carson, Ty, Quentin Nelson, everyone going on the COVID list.
yeah.
Like that's crazy too.
That's like pretty much all their heavy hitters. All in one fell swoop. Thank you, COVID. Well, not literally thank you, COVID, but get how it is.
I'm actually going to dive into a little bit with the COVID as well, because Urban came out and said when they were coming down to their 53-man roster, and I gotta assume a lot of teams were doing it as well. Is he looked at the unvaccinated players, and it can be a risk. And I mean, I could see it, because if you're unvaccinated and then you get someone sick on your team and then you have to miss games, and you're just costing fines and missing games and all that. How do you think that perspective is? How do you think this new don't want to say it like that, but how do you think this new COVID league is?
This COVID leave, it's definitely a factor that a lot of these teams are, whether they want to admit it or not, they're considering it. Just to be able to keep things smooth because you don't want somebody, say you sign somebody and then someone in your locker room doesn't really necessarily appreciate it, then who knows how all of this works. They probably want to sit out again. It stirs up a bunch of things that you probably don't want. Cole Beasley's of the world. Let's be real. There's some bad press that can go into that.
Which surprisingly he's still on the team. So it's hard. Like, I get it with these lower, like, it's like anything. Like, if you're a lower end player, you got to do everything because you got to make that team. Now, if you do production and things like that, they'll ignore some things and let it slide unless you get like really wild with it. And like if you're a roster bubble player, you might as well get the vaccine because if you don't, you're kind of, 1 foot out the door already.
Very true. It's definitely something to consider. That X factor, whether we want to believe it or not, COVID is affecting the league, and it can be very annoying, to be honest.
And then I got two more tidbits I want to hit. I'll cover this one because I know Tim wants the last one to jump into, but we got some punter news. We got some kicker news. So Johnny Hecker, probably actually one of the best punters in the league. He knows how to bomb those kicks. He knows how to pin them very well. He just signed a 3-year extension. A lot of times we don't see punters be getting money like that. So kudos to him getting his bread. Like you don't see that with punters. So that is like really good. And honestly, he's a big asset for the Rams because I remember last year when they were struggling, he would just flip field position, and that defense would just be one of the best in the league.
Yeah, kickers are players, people. Kickers are players. They do contribute. If you can pin somebody in the coffin, let's be real, and you have a strong defense, chances of them being run off the field that much higher. So it actually is important to have a strong punter for your team. Especially in fantasy, you want to be able to have that defense be able to get after him, put him in some messed up situations, and be able to reap the benefits.
So hit them with it. Like we didn't believe it when we read it. We're gonna close the day off strong. So I know you enjoy it. I see the smile on your face. You laughing. Let them know this crazy
Oh,
story.
okay, okay. Look. I'm gonna let you go ahead and go because I don't even think I'm gonna be able to hold it in because this story is like not silly, but it's real. These are all facts. This is not made up. This is legit. Go ahead, Chris. Let them know.
So I don't even know if I pronounced their name right, but like apparently it's not even a name either. So like they ain't a real team. But Bishop Sycamore. We're just gonna go with that. Um, I will give them props where it's due. If you want to make a nationally televised like ESPN game, kudos, like you did it. But you can't get a beat down like that, 58-0. So apparently, what they did is they said there was a high school team. I don't know all the info. I don't know if they played a high school team, but it was like a bunch of 26-year-olds out there, and they lost the game. They actually lost 3 games, but the one on ESPN, they lost 58-0. The one they fought for to get on TV, they don't even score a point.
So, in a nutshell, a semi-pro team pretended to be a high school team to lose 50 plus to 0. Dude, that's instant karma. That's exactly what you get. You foolish
And
for
then the
that.
coach,
Like,
the coach got fired right after the game. It's like, man, like they thought they was like they thought they were gonna put. I can't even say put the school on the map because they're not a school. So I don't know what
fail.
they
How
was
you get
doing.
fired from a job that don't exist?
I don't even know
It's
what
odd.
he was trying to do. Like he thought he was something. Oh, but that actually brings me to. We didn't talk about this at all. But speaking of